Fleetwood Mac the Chain. A huge family favorite here. All the band members had a hand in writing it. I love all Fleetwood Mac songs. This is the one that puts you in a good mood though. I mean, to each their own, but personally the Chain just makes me feel kinda bittersweet. Gypsy, however, puts me in a ducking great mood whenever I hear it. You might enjoy the cover. The Chain Family Jam by the Punk Cellist on YouTube. Agreed, if it's Fleetwood Mac it has to be Dreams. All thought it's mandatory to be riding a skateboard while enjoying some of them cranberry juice. Still annoys me they got rid of it for phone. Yay, I like when the bass line kicks in. I approve, sounds good, I've just checked it out. Check out the following cover version, it's a good one. Harry Styles' BBC Live Lounge cover of The Chain. Hanson Brothers Bop. Husk. Don't Stop Me Now. Queen. Most Queen songs, honestly, but this song gets me so hyped up. Piling onto the Queen parade with Bohemian Rhapsody. Don't Stop Me Now is my favorite by a narrow margin, but Bohemian Rhapsody's what I sing to myself whenever I need to recalibrate my emotions. The guitar solo doesn't disappoint also. Very fire. For me it's fat-bottomed girls and we are the champions, but yes, most of their work will do just fine. Is this the real life? Brighton Rock is another one for this. Back in the 90s I went through a really bad breakup. A few dressed months later my friends took me out to play pool. This song came on as we got there, and it got me out of my slump. We sang that in my choir for our last concert, and it's a ducking blast. I might be biased because the altos finally got some melody, but it's just such a fun song to sing. Middle. Jimmy Eat World, it totally got me through HS. Hey, don't write yourself off yet. I came to this song. I read that it was actually written for a 13-year-old who had written into the band saying she was being bullied in school, so the lyrics are super perfect too. Great song edit. Now that I look it up, that may not be true, but it is to me, damn it. I can't change the radio station fast enough when I hear this freaking song. It's an unbearable song. Mr. Blue Sky, Electric Light Orchestra. You came to this song, I came to this song. We are not the same. Today's forecast is calling for blue skies. You did what to this song? Sun is shining in the sky. There ain't a cloud in sight. This is my choice for good mood songs as well. Glad I didn't have to scroll too far to see it. Ironically, my wife absolutely hates this song. Despite that severe flaw in her personality, I love her deeply and have decided to work it out and stick with her. Dun 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 thuba babba baba. Yes. Yes. Dancing in the Moonlight, King Harvest. Yes, original only. I was at the dentist and some weird ass cover came on and it was so terrible. Luckily they followed up with the OG song, so it wasn't tainted forever for me. I'd always imagine an ideal night outside of my home with a big yard and many close friends, and we dance outside to this song, and time stops, while we all grin ear to ear. Maybe one day. Uploader probs. Also Thin Lizzy. That's the dream, man. This is my absolute jam, probably my favorite song ever. You can't dance and stay uptight. How dare you disrespect the Toploader version double. This one right here. The backstory of this song is tragic. Dancing in the Moonlight was the song I had the first dance to at my wedding last month. I love it, and it will always have a very dear place in my heart. Return of the Mac, Mark Morrison. This is the ducking answer. 100%. There it is. Woof. And top of the world. This came on in the car to work about 20 minutes ago, and it did nothing to me, lol. This is it. https://youtube/jilcy old men only have one real breakup / get back at your ex song, but with Return of the Mac, it's the only one they need. The ultimate you may have broken my heart, but I'm going out with my boys tonight song. Once again. September, Earth, Wind and Fire. Do you remember? They sound so happy in this one. My wife and I married on September 21st because of this song. 21st night. I called it the Oreo song as a kid. Surprised Nabisco never used it in a commercial. This is the answer. Reject sentimental and practical dates. Embrace lyrical and mean dates. Call me Al. Don't want to end up a cartoon in a cartoon graveyard. Bone digger. Paul Simon definitely always makes me happy. Video is great too. How am I almost 28 and have never heard this song? Vibes. Is that Chevy Chase? I literally use this song to tell people my nickname, don't care if it's Dorky Face. Followed closely by me and Julio down by the schoolyard. I will always regret not taking a picture of me and my friend Julio walking past the schoolyard behind my old house. I was like, yes, you'll think I'm epic nerd, but it will be hilarious and awesome. And then I second guessed it, so I didn't mention it. All the regrets. Feeling groovy, 50 ways to leave your lover. 29 here. Only heard this song because I went to a brother-in-law's stag do and it was an 80s weekend. Loved the song since, absolute banger. Sabotage Beastie Boys. What You Want is also up there, on my list. My Beastie Boys Forever song is intergalactic. They are elite. Their live performance of that song on Letterman is something else. Body Move and Fatboy Slim remix is so good. Best music video of all time, too. I prefer Cancer Bats version tbh. Gimme Shelter by the Rolling Stones. It is my absolute firm belief that Gimme Shelter is the best rock song ever recorded in the history of music. I Will Die on That Hill by Jam. My first ever gig was the Rolling Stones in 2018, and I cried when they played this. Florence and the Machine were supporting, and she provided the female vocals. One of the best experiences of my life. More than a feeling, Boston. I don't know what it is, but he has it. Air band. Best answer. It really is. It just builds up so beautifully too. It's perfection. Check out what makes the song great. Thanks. Goddamn. Yes. This is the perfect answer. Peace of mind is so much better. Fat bottom girls. I want this played as they are lowering my casket into the ground. I don't have a fat bottom, but I love them fat bottom girls. Pete. Matey 3's Midnight City. Quite a few of their songs are great for pumping up. Just saw them live in Boston. Fantastic show. Mr. Brightside by the Killers. That pumps you up. It depresses me. My number one anthem, I go feral when I hear Coming Out of My Cage, and I've been doing just fine. Look for the Tin Liquor remix, it's even better. The Jacques version is my favorite. It's so fun and always makes me feel like grooving. Heroes David Bowie. Reminds me of long ago friends in long ago good years. Thank you for the reminder to listen to this song again. As a Three Little Birds, Bob Marley. 8th grade teacher blasted this song after the final bell rang. Weird how it stuck with me today. For example, today I'm having anxiety and I played it earlier. Don't you worry about a thing, cause every little thing is gonna be alright. My favorite teacher gave his little speech at graduation, then pulled fake dreads from under the podium and sang this song. I was at the FA Cup semi-final at Wembley last year, between Liverpool and Man City. It was wonderfully sunny, beers had been had. This came on, and to a man/woman the whole Liverpool end erupted into singing and dancing along with it. Unexpected and beautiful, loved it. Pump up the jam. It's giving Philomena Kunk. I just love those technotronic intrusions. About 400 years before the release of the Belgian techno anthem. Radar Love Golden Earring. It's 4:30 and I'm shifting gears. Brenda Lee Common on Strong. Twilight Zone 2. That away what is love? Baby don't hurt me. Did you know that this is a Russian song, and it says Vladislav and not what is love? Lawyers. Full stop. This is the correct answer. I work in HR, and a company I joined wasn't in compliance with a federal law with one of our benefits. I was told to bring it to our employment lawyer. So I scheduled a call and came equipped with links to show how we weren't in compliance. Lawyer disagreed. End of discussion until 2 years later, when she left the company and we got a new employment lawyer who was like, hey, this isn't compliant. This is why your answer to a legal question is always it depends. Lawyer here. You realize pretty quickly it's better to feign ignorance than constantly field free legal questions. I'll vote doctors. Insurance. Am I covered if a tree falls on my house? It depends. Am I covered if I need a colonoscopy? It depends. Am I covered if I run over a 3-toed clown on a tiny bicycle? You're not gonna believe this, but it depends. On my second week after graduating from law school, before I'd even say for the bar, my landlord, who was a friend, who lived across the hall and a great dude that I would do anything I can to help, called me to ask a question about a real estate dispute worth maybe $50 So I had to explain that I couldn't really give him any advice since I was not yet a lawyer, and even if I could, I didn't know anything about the kind of matter he was asking me about. It sucked because I don't think he really believed me. People get really upset about this when you tell them you can't or shouldn't get involved. Don't ask your lawyer friends for free legal advice. As someone who is going to law school, yes. Glad to, but first let me start my billing clock. Lawyer also. Doctors can be pretty big know-it-alls, but I would vote engineers. I always advised trial lawyers to use peremptory challenges on engineers in jury selection. In accident cases, they add at least a day to jury deliberations as they try and browbeat all the other jurors into rejecting all the expert testimony in favor of their own calculations and tests performed in the courtroom washroom. Married to a doctor, so I agree with you. It depends if someone is looking. Are you looking? I've been at this 25 years, and some gal I knew from kindergarten asked if I could help her on the sale of a business, which was really just a very poorly paid hobby. To her credit, she offered to pay, but she's divorced and pretty much broke, so I was like, sure, I'll help review a bill of sale. I swear to God I ended up giving her 10 hours of free time because there was never a last question. What about this and this and this? I should have just said I was too busy. If possible, could our lawyer redditors please confirm that you do in fact know everything? I'll do you one better, judges. Literally their job. Who are also almost always lawyers, I know. Before I even opened the comments I said, out loud lawyer. Didn't expect to see so many people agree. Corporate lawyers can be the worst. I've had to go round and round with them before. The key isn't being right, but being right, and finding a way for them to act like they've figured out the answer. Absolutely insane. I'd think dealing with lawyers would have been more logical than dealing with HR or a bad client. But nope. I had a similar thing happen when I got a new preschool teaching job. I asked about where the nap mats were, as that's a licensing requirement, and I couldn't find them anywhere in my room. My boss told me, oh, we don't do that here. A few months later, when we had our big federal review, we got Head Start money, which is from the feds, and they nailed us for it, and then all of a sudden they dropped off 20 nap mats and twice as many sheets. Best part is that they wanted us to wash them at home. They said they'd pay me for it, but I still said no. That program was a clusterfuck. Most poorly managed place I've ever worked. As a lawyer, I have claimed that a critical part of the process is leaving things long enough the prosecutor forgets it's my idea and not their own. Insecure people are very, very stupid. The most irrational people are the ones who think they're the most rational. No, it's not. The law is the law. Okay, maybe it depends. See, if I'm being sexual with my bunny rabbit, my lawyer could argue that since the crime was done in Kansas, it's not a crime. See, here it's only the federal government that is insisting that I can't diddle by pets. Thank God I wasn't in misery. Employment law, on the one hand, doesn't involve much technical law, so attracts the lazy, not very bright or just chancers, and in the other hand, is the locus of the most massive distortion to enable fraud. No one was asking you to validate. Thanks, kid person male. I don't know about profession, but I feel in general when somebody has a single career and they smash it right out of the gate to find great financial success, it's easy to get tunnel vision and fall into the illusion that because you're great at this one thing you do, you must be just an overall superior person. In lesser terms, people who simply trust their gut and it worked out for them. I think it's less a personality type and more something anybody can fall into. I suspect this is part of the reason why doctors and dentists have long been considered the ideal suckers for people looking to pitch dodgy investment schemes. They are high achievers and reasonably intelligent. They spent years and years learning the ins and outs of their specific field, often to a subspecialty level, and sometimes this vast amount of knowledge makes them overly confident in analyzing things outside of their area of expertise. Absolutely. I have experience with financial crimes cases, and doctors were very overrepresented as victims. They had money and arrogance. Perfect target. Having worked in ICU, it's both amusing and frustrating watching how many doctors think they hold court in other fields or studies. Like dog, we maxed out on the lev-off drip and the patient's blood pressure is still tanking. Please just take a moment from being confidently incorrect about inflation and order another vasopressor. I started fluffing in the heyday of the San Fernando Valley's porn renaissance around 1982 and quickly rose to the top of the profession. Ron Jeremy once put my name in his contract as the only acceptable fluffer. I'll be damned if I'm gonna sit here and let a bunch of Redditors pretend they know as much as I do about anything. I have experience with financial crimes, cases. The problem with doctors, and I have several in the family, is that no one ever tells them that they are wrong or that they are being an ass to people. I suppose the same is true of dentists. Lack of negative feedback that's warranted lets the ego run wild. It drives me nuts. A lot of times they are not even necessarily that great at their one thing. They just got the appropriate promotions and now they are in a top position. But they should be in a top position after working in the field for years. It's not really a great feat. My dad did a very particular type of electrical engineering. He specialized in radio towers. He was one of the top people in the world who did the type of work he did. Radio died. An email to his friend said he was depressed because he felt like his life work was irrelevant. A few years ago he was meeting with Ajit Pai to try to loosen up some stuff for radio so it didn't die as fast and so he could have a little more work. He kept waiting and waiting to hear the changes announced, then he didn't, then was supposed to hear some other time and it wasn't going through. Finally, he was convinced these changes that would help his industry would be announced at this convention. At the convention, no such changes were announced. He got home the next night and shot himself. The moral of the story: don't let your career be the core of your identity and value. Also, some people are promoted because they just stuck around long enough and other people left. Try and teach this crowd how to fly airplanes. Some are cool, but many are a real pain in the ass. Too cool for school, and they know it all. On the off chance you are serious, I would recommend you stop using Ron Jeremy's name as a reference in light of his recent legal troubles. It's called survivorship bias. Similarly, I had friends in college who got jobs just after graduation, or even before, and they stayed at those jobs for many years, gaining experience and making it easier to move along when they were ready. Those friends came to believe getting a job after college in general is easy to do, and had a hard time sympathizing with anyone who had a hard time finding employment, and tended to think it was a fault of the job seeker. Just explained why very wealthy people often believe they can start up any kind of business and be successful, whether that's steaks, universities, board games, etc. Worked for a PA that opened a restaurant. Didn't go well. Man, he could have worked in defense as an RF engineer. Sheesh. Sorry to hear he passed, mate. One of the OB I worked with is in local politics. He's a douchicano to work with. Anyway, but I've also gotten into heated arguments with him on Facebook. Ducking boomer. Well said. This is a great way to put it. I've always said that a doctor is someone who has never been told no. I know it's a blanket statement that doesn't apply to everyone, but it's still largely applicable to many of them. And they have no idea how much of it was timing. As a nurse, I want to agree and disagree. My first instinct is to say, oh no, we say when they are wrong. They just don't listen, but at the same time, it can be really scary and they can really F with your job if you piss them off. So yeah, maybe you're more right than wrong. Living in the part of Texas that I live in, I talk to doctors all the time. Some are very arrogant and think they know every goddamn thing about everything. I don't hesitate to correct them when they are wrong though. I'm an auditor and am specifically hired to go somewhere where I don't know anything, learn what to do, then tell you if you are right or wrong. Do I know the science in a research facility or every regulation in child care? Nope. But that doesn't stop me from going there learning and correcting you anyways. How then the? I always assumed auditors were industry specific. How could it possibly be more economical to do it that way than to get an industry vet to do it? How did you fall into this line of work? It sounds fascinating to me. Internal auditor slash CPA here, I'm really more just a process expert. Most of what we do is apply logic to how a department conducts their business and see if things can be refined to reduce risk areas. We've never actually done the jobs of the people we audit, so they know more than us on the subject, but we offer an objective slash independent look at things. Used to do retail management and as part of that assisted in district and corporate audits of stores. Store closed and I just happened across an auditing position at a local research university. There certainly can be specific auditors, but these tend to be CPAS, information tech slash systems, and government compliance type people. For me, as one of a few people in our university's audit department, and not being a CPA, I end up with a lot of oddball compliance and performance type audits across all departments. So from the animal slash human research to auxiliary departments like dining and transportation. It works as most things are pretty well set up, so you don't need an industry vet or specialist as that was done during setup of a department. A department completing Department of Defense research already knows what it has to do. It just may suck at figuring out how to comply or more likely how to prove they are complying. So I often end up researching requirements then comparing to what the department says their requirements are, then finding a way to measure it and show them if it's working or not. Oh, that's why you do it that way. Carry on. They are industry specific, and a knowledge of requirements for an industry helps a lot, but most of auditing is looking at what documentation you have that says what and how you do things, then seeing if you actually do those things. To a degree, I really do not need to know how to bake a cake, but if the recipe says add 2 cups of flour, and you do not, then that is an audit finding. Our auditors are paid by the company to give them the answers they want, rather than the answers they need. It's all about knowing the questions to ask to get them to reveal where they've hidden the skeletons.